What's up, everyone? I'm the Astro Mama. I bring the cosmos down to earth to help ground deep feelers, creatives, and mystics through personal readings, events, and free weekly astro weather forecasts. If you fall into any of those three categories, welcome to your astro weather forecast for the week of April 6th to the 12th, 2026. I'm going to take you transit by transit, let you know what's going on in the sky and how you can swim with the cosmic current instead of against it. First of all, hello. I'm back. I'm coming back after a 3-week hiatus. How are y'all doing? If you are just curious about diving into the astrology and you don't really care about that, you can utilize the timestamps below and just click on the date that you are looking into or the transit that you're interested in. For everybody else, hello, I'm back. I'm alive. March was a really hard month. You know, you're having a little bit of a mental breakdown when you dye your hair. I did my hair purple. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I actually really like it. I have this conspiracy theory that becoming an adult is actually just returning to who you were as a child. I've always been an angsty person. I'm an Enneagram 4. If you know, you know. We're angsty, we're moody, but we're also very creative, and we're also very loving, and we have very intense emotions. And I remember I had to be like 8 because we just moved into this new house. And I asked my parents, I begged them for a guitar for Christmas, and they gave me some sort of like cheap, random, small, like fake guitar ukulele thing. I was so excited about it. And I remember I would write songs, but I would really just be like, plucking at the strings. I didn't know how to tune it. I didn't know how to play any chords. I didn't know like anything about it. And we were definitely like far too poor to do lessons or anything like that. But I was just so excited, and I would like go into my room and like write songs. I would sit outside my window and I would look at my neighbor and try to like sing music to him. And one time I remember he looked up and said, "I see you." And my whole face just got so red and hot, and I was so like embarrassed, and I was like, oh my gosh, no way. This is like the most embarrassing moment of my life. That energy has been moving through me a lot recently. The shyness around wanting to do what I feel called to do, and the curiosity around what it would look like to actually make it happen. And I do have more resources now for the most part, except for time. I definitely don't have more time than I did when I was 8. I am getting to play with like being the person that I wanted to be at that age. So I dyed my hair purple because one of the things that I wanted to do when I was angsty as a child and then going into my teenage years on Tumblr and listening to Arctic Monkeys and all that was to have bright colored hair. Nobody's going to give you, us, me, total permission and validation to be ourselves. A crow actually just landed on the fence outside of my window. I wonder what that's about. I feel like it's looking at me, sorry. But nobody's gonna give you permission to be you. Nobody is gonna also hold you accountable towards being you. And I was going through a period where I was really burnt out. There were a lot of things going on in my personal life. There were a lot of things going on in family lives, illness, people passing away. I was like, okay, so what do I need to get rid of? Because I have all these other responsibilities and I need to give them my attention. And so unfortunately, that's what I thought it was this. I made this big dramatic post on my Instagram story after talking to some friends, and you know, their gentle advice to me was like, hey, we love you and we want to see you win, and this isn't earning income for you, so you should quit. That's a paraphrase, but it was something along those lines. I really wanted somebody to tell me not to quit, and I kept asking everybody and they all were giving me the same answer. And I tend to be stubborn, and I thought to myself, maybe I should just listen to what everybody else is telling me to do right now. I tend to think that I should follow my intuition at all costs, but sometimes that does put you in a situation that's harmful or that you regret later. So I didn't want to like go down that path again. Until I had a friend reach out and she was like, hey, I'm worried about you. Are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not okay. And she was so sweet and held this beautiful space for me. But she said something along the lines of like, I'm going to be the friend who's irrational. I'm going to tell you that I think you should just go for it. And that you exude so much joy and energy and like the ends when you're making the forecasts and when you're posting about astrology. And why would you stop? Because it's not making money. I'm sure that somebody could argue that I never needed anybody to tell me that and that I should just listen to my gut and not care about what other people think. But when you're somebody who's been through a lot of trauma, like myself, especially as a child, it's really, really hard to tease apart that desire of like approval or guidance from somebody And also the lack of self-trust that comes with that. And it's my responsibility to continue healing that. And also, we can't heal everything in the privacy of avoiding being triggered. I could just hide in my room all the time. I mean, I have a daughter, so I couldn't necessarily do that, but I could raise her, and then when I'm not with her, hide in my room all the time. Or even when I'm with her, we could just avoid people and you know, recluse. But what is that going to get me? Yeah, I might not ever get triggered. I might not ever get insecure. I might not ever get self-conscious or worried about money or whatever. But I also wouldn't get the rewards on the other side of that. When you are meant to quit something or leave it or break up with that person, or you at some point should feel relief. I didn't do it for 3 weeks and I never once felt relief and excited and joyful and curious. Instead, I felt like I was going through a breakup with somebody I didn't want to break up with. I felt like I was being left on red by my crush, or I felt like I got rejected from a school I wanted to go to. It was like all the past feelings and emotions and sensations that I've experienced in my life of being rejected or denied or judged or bullied or whatever. They came up so loudly in my body and so vividly in my world. But the difference was I wasn't being rejected. I was the person that was rejecting myself. I took me not earning income from this project as that I failed or that this project was rejecting me. And I let it mean a bunch of things about me. Like I must not be good enough or cool enough or pretty enough or white enough or straight enough or whatever, right? Old enough, young enough. You know, we start to look at all these aspects of ourselves that make us us. And if it's not like successful on paper, then we look at everybody else who's successful and we start to think of what is so different between them and us. And yet what the universe is really asking us to do is to come back to what that was that you want to do when you were little and actually just living for that person. This energy is very much alive in the cosmos this week. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. But I wanted to let you guys know I'm here and I'm back and I want to do this as long as I possibly can. And I can't live my life just only doing things that make money. That doesn't feel like me. One of my biggest goals ever is to help people in a way that's accessible. And I also understand that not everybody can afford to book a reading with me. So for me, donating the 6 hours a week that I spend on this forecast, that feels good to me. It's a way that I can work with many people at once for free. And you all can really receive the benefits of astrology and of actually working with the cosmos in conjunction with or in sextile with what's happening cosmically instead of being against it and then feeling stuck and frustrated and alone. I will say that there's not much happening at the beginning of the week. I think we could still be in a little bit of a Libra full moon hangover. You might have been called to me had the Libra full moon to release something in the area of life that where Libra governs in your chart. And also we saw some pretty interesting things play out on a global scale around April 1st too. And you could just be processing the aftermath of the emotions that came up for you during that. The light aspects of Libra moon are compassionate and creative and romantic and justice oriented and harmonious and wanting to make things more lovely in the world. And then the shadow side could be indecision. My partner has a Libra moon. I love him so much. And we one time spent like 40 minutes at Ross trying to find a pillow and we cleaned them up, but we had all these pillows scattered all over the floor. And I remember looking at him and my Sagittarius moon was like, okay, we got to move on. We got to move on. Let's go. But, you know, it's because they have a good heart. He was like, I want to make sure I find the most perfect pillow for us. So, and the most beautiful pillow, the most luxurious pillow, the most harmonious pillow. You might have found yourself in a situation the last couple of weeks, or even just the next couple of weeks, as we're still navigating the lingering energies from that Libra full moon of being stuck in the aisle at Ross with the pillows, trying to figure out what the best pillow is for you. I love the book All the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. It's something that we like to read to our daughter. And he kind of describes that, you know, you go through this long journey of really beautiful high moments, really sad, lonely, isolating moments. But the most dangerous place for you to be is in the waiting period. And in the waiting period or the waiting room is where everybody is frozen, basically. And they're just waiting. They're waiting for them to have more money. They're waiting for them to be skinnier or whatever, more fit. They're waiting for them to look a certain way or to feel a certain way or to be a certain age or to have a certain accolade or have a certain amount of people in their phone book or in their group chat or whatever that like them before doing something. They're waiting for a train to happen. They're waiting for, they are just waiting. And we learn so much more through failure than we do through waiting. We learn so much more through putting ice skates on and going to a rink and trying to skate and falling on your butt than you do thinking about ice skating all day and watching videos about ice skating and going to the rink and watching people ice skate and wishing that that was you. Imagine if your favorite musician died with that music still in their head. There's this energy this week around creative expression, heightened emotions, but creative expression. And later on in the week, Mars will be making an exact conjunction to Neptune. And that's going to really invite us into this energy of, we have this life. What do you want to create? And not what do you want to create to get money or to get fame or to get fortune or to get somebody to like you. What do you want to create just because you know deep down in your core, in your heart, that there is a problem you see on this earth and that you have a part of that solution, a puzzle piece to that solution. And you know that if you were to leave this earth today and you never took any steps towards solving that problem, towards being a part of that solution, you would regret it. And maybe the method or the how or the means in which that creativity moves through you, maybe it changes throughout your life. One of my greatest missions I feel on this earth is to liberate all women to being who we actually really truly are. And that is extended to all people, regardless of gender. But for the most part, that same essence still radiates through me. A practice that once started as yoga teaching, then moved into women's work and spiritual coaching, has now shifted into astrology. But the meaning is still there. The why is still there. It just so happens that as I've grown and evolved and matured and lived life, new tools have actually been magnetized towards me and have come towards me to help me with that mission. Maybe you became a therapist because you really wanted to help people heal from their trauma and their pain. So you started with, I don't know, Jungian psychology. And now that you've been doing that for 20 years, you had a psychedelic experience and you decided that you want to go back to school for psychedelic therapy. Or maybe you decide you don't want to be a therapist at all anymore and now you want to be a professor. How does it really matter? But that why of wanting to help people who have been through traumatic experiences heal, wanting to be able to look somebody in the eyes and say, I see you, I hear you, because maybe you went through something like that yourself. Like that doesn't go away. It's just that you've lived more life experience and you've had more tools that have entered your toolbox that you can use. Welcome to Wednesday, April 8th. The moon enters Capricorn today at 5:05 a.m. Pacific time. It's making a square to Mars and Mercury in Pisces. And it's also making a square to Neptune and Saturn in Aries. Let me kind of explore aspect by aspect what this could mean. Let's put together a picture. In general, when the moon is in Capricorn, one tends to feel motivated and wanting to get things done, wanting to do something that could be like more hard or challenging in nature, but it has long-lasting results. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn energy, it loves things that are hard, and it loves when we show up for things, even if we're not getting that round of applause or that affirmation or that confirmation from other people. And also, Saturn is hard on us, but its rewards are like chef's kiss. Saturn, I mean, this is all respect to Saturn. When he comes through with that reward at the other end of that finish line, it can really make you feel like all that challenge and that pain and all that heartache that you went through to receive that was worth it. So I just want to empower you as you navigate this week to remember that. Now, with the moon square Mercury today, you could be having this internal battle between your head and your heart. This alignment reminds me of a song called The Ballad of Love and Hate by the Avett Brothers. I'll link it below. If you haven't listened to it, I find it to be a very beautiful song. And essentially, the song is illustrating this. For them, they say it's the ballad of love and hate. I like to think about it as a duel between your mind and your heart, your head and your heart. And I think in spiritual communities, we neglect our minds. I found that in the Matrix or whatever traditional ways of being, we tend to glorify the mind and we ignore the heart. And so many of us go through a healing journey where we are tapping into our hearts and we're healing and we're noticing how it feels to be in love and to give love and to be in purpose and integrity and to feel your emotions. Beautiful. Don't neglect your mind though. If you are somebody who lives so much from your heart and you're always giving to others and you're pouring into everyone else but yourself, or you're a little bit in la la land, which we've all been there, this is the energy of let me come up a little bit and let me be into my mind and let me actually integrate whatever it is that I'm feeling. Let me apply some container for the emotions that are within me to have a place to expand into. And to give purpose and meaning to that which is on my heart. At the same time, if you are somebody who is always in your brain, do you ever go on a date with somebody and you feel like such a strong connection and they're so vulnerable with you, and then you say something to them and it gives them the ick, and they're like, well, I can't be with you because you said this one thing. I think we've all been the person who said that, and we've all been on the receiving end of that. And it's hard because you're like, you must have had some sort of checklist somewhere that in order to be with you, people have to do da 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 da. And maybe I did 8 out of 10 of those things, but these 2 things that I did, or these 2 things that I am, that aren't in alignment with that, you're just going to throw me out onto the street, you know? And so, yeah, yes, of course, have boundaries, have discernment, use your intuition, let's say in dating for an example. But I feel like our society has gotten so quick to just reject and isolate and discard. Quite frankly, it's very narcissistic to discard people the moment that they show that they are not perfect. And I want to empower you to find that balance between being a doormat and letting people walk all over you and not immediately just shutting people out because they are human. Disclaimer, I'm not talking about trauma or people who are abusing you. And also, when you go through trauma, your brain becomes very black and white because your mind is trying to protect you. This lesson is especially important because the moon is making a square to Mars today. And when the moon makes a square to Mars, we tend to have just less of an energy reservoir to tap into. We tend to be a little bit more exhausted, a little bit more sluggish or foggy, sometimes irritable. Sometimes under this transit, people get sick or injured. Some people like in the world could just be feeling a little bit more on edge. If you have a boundary that you need to set, for example, run it by your heart first. A question you can ask yourself is like, what would be the best way for me to communicate this so that it is fair to all parties involved, or that it causes the least amount of harm to all parties involved? The moon is also making a square to Saturn and Neptune today, so I would empower you to lighten your load as much as you can for Wednesday. I would empower you to have the least amount on your schedule as possible, to really carve in time for self-love and self-care, or to at least at the minimum be compassionate with yourself if you're just not feeling it. And if you're just feeling sluggish and it's easy to think of, what am I doing wrong? I'm out of alignment. I'm so bad, or I'm not good enough. You might just be feeling exhausted, and that is okay. Take a nap. You don't always have to quit. Sometimes you just need a break. And don't quit on a bad day, whatever that is. Quit on a good day, because it's hard to make an accurate decision based on a temporary emotion. And if you do find yourself being emotionally sensitive today, or ruminating on past experiences, or just feeling a little sad, I invite you to be gentle with yourself and give yourself all the love and compassion that you can. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing in this moment the most loving, compassionate thing I can do? And sometimes the emotions that you have aren't even necessarily based on what happened. It's more based on like the patterns and the behaviors and all the cycles that you went through leading up to that thing. And welcome to Thursday. Today, Mars enters Aries at 12:36 p.m. Pacific time. It makes a loose conjunction with Saturn in Aries at 6 degrees, and a stronger conjunction with Neptune, who's at 2 degrees of Aries. And Mars will be in Aries until May 18th, 2026. So generally speaking, Mars in Aries is a time period where one could be feeling a little bit more motivated. You could be feeling really passionate and motivated and courageous. Aries energy is the trailblazer, the CEO, the rule breaker, the initiator, and the warrior. You could be feeling a little bit restless, and you could want to just kind of tear everything down to the ground. At the beginning of this transit, you might not necessarily be feeling that, because Mars conjunct Saturn can sometimes be this energy of a blockage. It can be an internal blockage, like dealing with maybe mental health issues or thoughts, procrastination, limiting beliefs. It could also be an external blockage, like traffic or an injury or a sickness or a loved one getting injured or sick or being in traffic or something. It's not to instill fear, just to be prepared and give you affirmation that if you start off Mars and Aries and everybody's talking about on Instagram, like, wow, you should be feeling motivated and empowered and go chase your dreams and you should be courageous and on fire. And you're like, I don't feel that. You might just not feel it yet, at least when we are under this Mars-Saturn conjunction. Give it a little bit. Mars square Saturn can sometimes also just be something as simple as writer's block. Everybody who has learned to play an instrument knows that some days it's so easy to pick up your instrument of choice and to learn something new. And other days you're trying to move your fingers around the guitar and you're like, I literally can't. I keep telling my fingers to go up a string and they won't go up a string. They keep going down a string. And that's a normal part of the process. It's just practice. Mars also is making this conjunction to Neptune. I quite like Mars conjunct Neptune for creative inspiration and energy and passion. How can you visualize, connect deeper to whatever it is that you are having this blockage around? Let's say that you are wanting to run a 5K, okay? And you are training and you're using some sort of app to teach you how to run and you're stretching and everything. And the 5K is in 2 months and you got sick. Your toddler has hand, foot, and mouth, and therefore you also have hand, foot, and mouth. How lovely. Before you quit 5K training altogether, imagine if you were at the end of that finish line. You have the t-shirt on, you're at the race, the music is playing, you got the bagel at the end or the banana or whatever, the stickers, whatever they're giving out this year at the turkey trot. Will it have been worth it? Ask yourself, if I stuck with my training plan, let's say maybe you had to take a couple days off, would it have been worth it? Would it have been worth it to stay the course even if it was hard? And then I want you to look back at the situation, maybe visualize with this Neptune component, what if I quit? What if I never crossed the finish line? What if I canceled the race? What if I didn't show up? What then? Imagine yourself in this successful point, and you're looking back and you're seeing what would have happened if you quit and you didn't end the race. How would you have felt? Anything worth having comes with struggle. And the manifestation coaches are not gonna like that I said that. And I'm not trying to manifest that everything should be extremely hard and difficult. Okay. But nothing worth having, nothing that you will value in life, that you will be grateful for, that you will take care of and maintain and honor will come completely easily. There will be hard work involved. And Saturn will be looking at you like, are you going to keep going? But in this context, Mars will be asking you, are you going to keep going? But Mars is going to ask you to throw hands. And to fight. Saturn is like, hit the books. Mars is like, knock down the library. But either way, they're both useful energies. And Neptune is like, how can we dream a bigger dream? How can we have some sort of creative component here? How can you devote that thing that it is that you're trying to achieve to something greater than yourself? It's also a little bit Jupiterian, but we're focusing on Neptune right now and Mars, okay? How can you have some sort of higher purpose, some sort of spiritual connection, and infuse what it is you're doing with love? I think a lot of parents can relate to this, especially birthing parents, mothers, whoever gave birth, because like some people love giving birth. And if that's you, that is awesome for you. I did not love that. But the hormones in your body and the emotions in your body and the strength of your body to push a baby out, the strength required is insane. But your body just does it. And then your brain is like, there's no way that this baby's coming out. There isn't, right? And if let's say you have a, traditional delivery, somehow the baby comes out. Or even if you have a C-section, you're like, there's no way my body's gonna be able to recover from this. This is so hard. But you do, right? And it's just, we always have something in our life that we're like, there's no way that we're gonna be able to do this, but we're doing it. Somebody told me once, who's a doula, that her best advice for mothers is when they're in labor and they're like, I can't do this, to tell them you are doing it. You are actually literally doing it right now. Whether you think you can or you can't, you are doing it. It's already happening. So you might as well lean into it and use that as evidence that, oh wait, yeah, Maybe I can do this. Maybe this thing is hard and I can do it. And that leads me to talk about Friday, April 10th, because on Friday, April 10th, the moon enters Aquarius at 4:56 p.m. Pacific time. It makes a sextile to Neptune and Mars, makes a trine to Uranus, and makes a conjunction to Pluto. The moon does move fast. So these are all for about like an hour or so, but still, I think it's cool to see not just where the moon is headed, but the aspects that it starts this lunation with. That offers a theme for those 2.5 days that the moon is in a sign that we can work with and the energy that could be available to us. So today I empower you to find ways to turn any ruminations, any obsessive thoughts, or any emotional turmoil that you have and channel it into art, into creativity. Make music, make art. You could bake or cook or teach yourself how to do a handstand. Like, creativity can come in so many different ways. Maybe you dye your hair purple. Maybe you wear a cool outfit. It doesn't have to be like in a very specific way. It's just in whatever way that being creative comes to you. Make some content or something. You could also have like an aha moment or an epiphany, and you could either decide to look at something differently or you could be forced to look at something differently. For example, we recently came into some success, which is exciting, and we did work hard for it. And I also believe that we are also lucky and privileged for it. You hear people who are very successful say, there was no luck involved. It was just work and grit. And I worked hard for what I have. So why shouldn't I share it with anybody? Or people who don't have what I have didn't work as hard. I think many things can be true. What if you did work hard for that and you are also still lucky and privileged? Because there's many people in the world that work really hard at things and they don't get rewarded for them. They never see a reward on that, right? So if you are one of those people who's seeing a reward on your hard work, can it be both? Can you celebrate yourself for the hard work that you put into something and also be in gratitude to your spiritual being of choice for the luck that they bestowed upon you to receive a positive return on your investment? The last major transit that we'll see this week is on Sunday, April 12th. Mars will be making an exact conjunction to Neptune at 2 degrees of Aries. Finish this week in your creative power. Finish this week getting back into your training, into offering up the spiritual significance to whatever it is that you're going through, to taking joy and fulfillment in the process of pursuing your hobbies and taking inspired action when it comes towards creating a more beautiful world, your own creative genre, that purpose that we talked about earlier, or even just with Neptune energy, serving others with universal love and compassion. That's your Astro Weather forecast for the week. Let me know in the comments below if that resonated with you. I'm here every week teaching you how you can swim with the cosmic current instead of against it. If you want to go deeper and you're trying to figure out how this would actually impact you more personally, you can book a personal reading with me. The link is below. I'm sending y'all so much love, and I'll see you next week. Bye.